shaking, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay, and today we're gonna go and reflect back on 2023 and see just what kind of reading year I had. Welcome to the new year. It's 2024. I could not be more excited to get this year started. We are going to be talking about how many books I read, how many pages I read, how many owned books I read, how many books I bought, how much money I spent. We're going to do it all today, and I'm just going to share some things that I thought were really interesting. So first, let's talk about how many books I read. I read 100 books, which is the lowest amount of books that I have read in some time. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that is the highest quality year that I've also had in quite some time. I had 15 5-star reads, which is just astronomically crazy because I am a very, very stingy with my 5-star reads, and I have been in the past. So to have 15 of them this year was fantastic. I was learning to DNF. I didn't DNF that many books because I wasn't reading as many books, but I kind of feel like the reason why I didn't DNF a ton, I think I DNF'd like 10. The reason why I didn't DNF more was because I was kind of honing in on what I liked, and I knew what I liked more this year versus everywhere else. And I want to do that going forward. Quality over quantity, people. I read a total of 42,747 pages, which I find very good. My shortest book was Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I adored that book. I read it in February. Highly recommend it for a nonfiction read. My longest book, of course, was Dragon Mage at 986 pages. I was very, very reluctant to read that long book, but it wound up being just a 5-star read. So just goes to show you, like, read all of the long books. You never know, you may love them. My average book length was 427 pages. My most shelved book that I read, of course, is going to be Fourth Wing. I mean, I think that's a lot of people's most shelved books. My least shelved book is going to be The First Rule by Stephen William Hanna. Great self-published fantasy horror. Check it out. Also, the cover, gorgeous. My average rating for the year was 3.7, the highest rated book I've read. Interestingly, I thought that it would be Fourth Wing, but it's not. It's Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. Okay, so I read majority fantasy books this year. I read 58 fantasy books, 11 sci-fi books, 8 thrillers, 9 horrors, 3 romance, 2 mystery, 3 literary fictions. I'm very shocked because I've read higher romance generally, and to only have read 3 this year, that's crazy. But I've kind of upped my horror game, so that's also fantastic. I have read 85 adult books and 11 YA books, and the rest into middle grade children's books, that kind of thing. My YA books usually are a lot higher. I found out this year that, I'm just kind of growing out of that age range. So that's great. I read 97 novels, 3 novellas. We all know that I am not a fan of novellas. So that's where that came from. But I did read some very good novellas. I read 18 self-published books this year, which I feel like is fantastic. I want to read more self-published. We're going to increase that number this year, but I really think I'm off to a good start with reading 18 in 2023. The majority of books that I read were published in 2022. I read 26 books published in 2022. I read 22 books published in 2023. So, and the rest in previous years. But I feel like, I did read some new releases in 2023, which, the jars helped for sure on that. And I was, very happy with that number. Now, let's talk about how many books I owned going into the year. Okay, so I did track how many books I came in the new year, 2023, with of how many books I owned and how many books I read out of the books that I came into 2023 owning. Okay, first of all, I'm really proud of myself and the work that I did in 2022 to get down to 127 books owned. When I came in, I was really last year reading down my owned TBR, and I had only 127 books coming into 2023. At the end of 2023, I had only read 27 of those that I came into the year with. So that's 21% of the books that I came into the year with. So that is quite an interesting statistic. Let's talk about the books that I purchased this year, and let's have a moment of silence for this because I purchased 192 books this year. And that's across all mediums. That's insane. I purchased 111 physical books, 64 audiobooks, 17 ebooks. So that's just crazy. This does not include my Audible credits every month. Also, by the way, it doesn't include that. I didn't include that in this. Just the things that I brought outside of that. That's crazy. That's crazy. But let's talk about it. Out of the 192 books I hauled this year, I read 25% of what I was hauling. So that's not super bad, but that could be better. Obviously I've run out of room on my shelves. So there's that. Let's talk about the amount of money that I spent. And this is close. There may be one or two books that I didn't count or missed, but this is a close tally. First of all, before I tell you the amount of money I spent on books, I want to preface this by saying that I have privilege, and I realize that, and I am very blessed with everything that I have, and that I'm able to spend this kind of money on books, but I want to be transparent for you guys to just let you know how much this is costing me. Also, in this total, it's not the amount of money that I spend on Scribd every month. It doesn't include my KU subscription. It doesn't include my Audible subscription. So if we were to tally all of those three subscriptions up, this total would be very high. And I want to also say that I started out the year being subscribed to Very Loot Adult, Very Loot Young Adult, and The Broken Binding. And so I think I quit my Very Loot Young Adult in April. So I nixed that, and then I've been subscribing to Very Loot Adult and Broken Binding every month. I'm toying with the idea of letting Adult Very Loot go, just because I haven't been as pleased with the titles that are coming from that subscription. So I'm paying for all these beautiful books and I'm not reading them because it's just not something I would read. So I'm toying with the idea of letting that go, but it took so long to get off the wait list that, you know, it hurts my heart to let this go. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys how much money I spent on books in 2023. $2,749.40. That's crazy. $260.68 were from gift cards or money that was given to me, presents that were given to me. So, you know, that brings that total down to the amount of money I actually spent. But I don't know if it's going to be my goal to decrease this. I don't know. Like I said, I'm toying with getting rid of the Adult Fairy Loot subscription. I'm gonna see how the next couple months go with that, and then maybe just cut it off. I'm also probably gonna cut off my book of the month subscription. I haven't gotten a book every month from here. I've gotten a few books though, but not every month. And generally I just am not like, some people really love the book of the month books, but I am not that keen on that. So I think I might also let that go in 2024. It's time for new things. But I realize that I have spent a lot of money, and the one good thing about that is that a lot of my money has gone to self-published authors, because that's where I've spent a lot of that money this year, and I really love supporting these authors and buying their books and all of that. I'm really blessed that I'm able to do that for them. Even though I know just one person buying their books does not mean a lot, but it means a lot to me. I'm happy to buy them and get the chance to review them here on the channel. Okay, so with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about what my 2024 stats look like going into 2024. So I recently, got my 2024 tracker filled out. I used the one from Allie at Hardback Corner. I really love her tracker sheets. I kind of do her tracker and then I add sheets that I feel like I need. So I have a sheet that I added to her tracker that has all the books that I've owned in going into the year, so that I can kind of keep track of, am I reading down my owned TBR? And this is physical, this is audio, this is ebook. So let me tell you what numbers I have going into 2024. I own 255 books, 141 physical unread books, 86 unread audiobooks, and 27 unread ebooks. So 255 unread books. And even though I don't feel bad about owning this many unread things, it still gives me anxiety to own this many books. I just want to be a reading machine and read all these books. And does this mean that I'm not going to haul books? No, because I'm going to be buying books. Of course I am. I'm not going to let go of my Broken Binding subscription. That is near and dear to my heart, and I just will be a ride or die for that. I will just do all the things. I've contemplated opening a Pango bookshop and getting rid of the books, but I kind of I'm like the little book fairy in my town. We have, of course, these free little libraries that I love going and being book fairies and just putting the books in the free little libraries for other people to enjoy. I really, really love doing that. But I may decide to open up a Pango shop and sell some books. I'm not really sure. I'm toying with the idea of that, but we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm looking at this list, and it's a long list. It's 255 on books. So I'm going to come back, of course, at the start of next year and tell you just how I did on that. I may do a mid-year check-in on this, but I'm very, very excited to start the year. You know, we're starting fresh. We're doing some new things. And I, again, lowered my Goodreads goal this year to 80 books. Again, quality over quantity. But I'm hoping a lot of those books are books that I read, or books that are behind me on my shelves, are books that are in my Audible library. I want to read all the books. Also, I just feel like 2024 is going to be a great year, and that's all I can say. I don't know how many other stats that I can give you guys. I feel like next year I'm going to track some different things that I may not have tracked this past year, but we kind of will see, and we'll get into that. Tell me if you tracked any of these things. Tell me what yours were down below so I don't feel so bad about myself. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.